Well, this morning I want to tell you about one of our favorite pets that we had in Zambia. Now, Zambia is a country right in the middle of Africa.
You have a map behind you.
Oh, yeah,
But
okay.
it's on the wall, you'd have to stand up.
You think the old man can get up? All right,
Tell them what color it is.
right here.
Kind of orangish.
That's Zambia. It's a country that has lots of rivers. It has beautiful veld or prairies, as we would call them here, where thousands of antelope and other animals, elephants, and all are found together, as well as hyenas and jackals and lions and leopards. There's so much to see in Africa. But our favorite pet was a monkey. These are called vervet monkeys. A vervet is a very, very playful monkey. And he likes everything people like to eat. So if a farmer is growing some corn, guess what? Vervet likes to go into the cornfield to be able to steal some corn and eat it. If he's raising some tomatoes, same thing. He loves eating tomatoes. If he's raising some onions, vervets will go ahead and dig the onions out and sit and eat them right there.
I don't like the monkeys because
They're a lot of fun. But we had a monkey, a vervet monkey by the name of Snoopy, because he was always snooping. There was never a time that Snoopy was ever really quiet. He was always very, very active. We had a little belt around his middle, and we put a rope on him so that he would stay close to the house. And Snoopy, he could get jealous. I mean, he could really get jealous. Is it nice to be jealous? No. What Snoopy would do, he thought I was the chief monkey. And maybe he was right that I was the chief monkey. But as it was, whenever Snoopy would see my wife come out and we might hold hands or I put an arm around her, he would get bad jealous. He'd run up and he'd go pinch, pinch, pinch right on Mrs. Follett's leg. And his little fingers could really pinch hard. And Snoopy, he really enjoyed being able to come and spend time with me. He'd jump up on my shoulder, and then he would go. He'd be digging around in my hair, and his little fingers would be hunting for, I don't know what, some kind of bug. He was hoping to find some tasty bug, a tick or a cootie or something. But he was always happy to be able to spend his time looking through my hair. But Snoopy will also like to play games. He made up games, and one of those games was that when my wife was teaching the girls how to do laundry, and they would come over to our house because we had a washing machine outside of our house. And so she was teaching them how to do laundry in a washing machine instead of in a scrub board. They could do the scrub board, or they could put it into a basin and they would walk on it, and they would call that doing the laundry. But Snoopy, whenever there was a group of girls that would come over to the house, oh, he'd get excited. He'd jump down from his perch and he'd come to the end of his rope and he would jump up and down. He was so happy to see other people. And the girls, they would get up close and they would start giggling and laughing. And they were happy to see him. And so Snoopy would then, he would back up a bit and he'd jump at him. And the girls would jump and they would scream and run away because they thought he was going to catch him. And so Snoopy would back up farther and his rope would be slack, and they would get in closer and closer, and Snoopy knew when he would often sit with his back to them. I'm not interested in playing games now. And he'd look over his shoulder. He'd see how close they would get because they were wanting to come and touch Snoopy. And Snoopy would just sit there and he would look over his shoulder. And soon he knew that they could not get away fast enough because now he had so much slack rope that he could turn and jump and catch one of them so fast that they would all scream. And so he would look and he'd time it just right. He'd jump up, he'd run at him, he'd grab him by the leg. And guess what? All the girls stood there and screamed. Would you scream if you had a monkey on your leg? I think probably most of us would. And then Snoopy was very attentive. He loved to be the watchman. We had a dog by the name of Mwami, which means chief. And Mwami and Chief were best of friends. In fact, Mwami would go out and lay down under Snoopy's tree where he was tied, and he would just lay there and go to sleep. Pretty soon, Snoopy would come down from being on the lookout while his friend was sleeping, and he would come down and he would get on the back of Mommy and he would start picking around again, looking to see if he could find something. And in most cases with Snoopy and Mwami usually had a tick or two that he was glad to get rid of, and Snoopy was glad to get, because old Snoopy, he'd bite that thing off and he'd smack his lips. He loved to be able to eat ticks. I don't think I would like to eat a tick, would you? No, not at all. But Snoopy was also a good watchman. Since Snoopy was usually setting up high in his sentinel tree, his guard tree, he would be looking around, he'd look in our garden, he would be checking every which way. And he also did not like snakes. No, he didn't like snakes at all. And so we would hear Snoopy out there chattering, angry, very mad sound. And he would be jumping up and down, and he would be looking at a certain place, and I would know then that there was a snake out in the area, in the garden, or wiggling up toward the house. And so Snoopy was one of those characters that we had so much fun with. And he loved us as much as an animal can love. Because when you are treating animals kind, they respond very positive. When you treat one another with kindness, you will find that people love you for your kindness. I want you to think about Snoopy like this, or him, or her, or him. Snoopy was a good friend and a good watchman, but he was also a lot of fun. And God made all creation for us to be able to enjoy and to be blessed and to know that someday when we get to heaven, think about it for a moment. What would you like to have as a pet in heaven? To me, I'd like to have another Snoopy. This time in heaven, he won't be running around pinching. He won't be jealous. He will be just a great, great friend and pet. Think about what God has given us in his creation and anticipate when God makes the new heavens and the new earth. There'll be vervet monkeys there, I'm sure. There'll be elephants. There'll be dogs and cats and lions.
That's exactly what I wanted. Dogs.
Yes, good. So think about heaven and think about what kind of a pet you would like to have as your special friend in heaven. God bless you each, and may we all be together in heaven.